Welcome back. All right, so 9 games tonight in the NHL. There was very little scoring early, but the last game of the night absolutely made up for it. I know that's what a lot of people are going to be skipping to, so I can't say I blame them. I expect pretty good view count for this review because of that game, though. So starting off with the Carolina Hurricanes and Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh wearing their very nice reverse retros. Honestly, all of the reverse retros are really nice. The one thing with this one is the copper is really shiny. It's just really nice. Anyways, so Kochetkov versus Jarry. There was no Letang in the lineup for Pittsburgh tonight. Canes had the early jump. They have a rush that draws them a power play. Pittsburgh didn't let them set up. That's killed off. Crosby then buries one on a rush from Gensel and Joseph at 4:34. The shots are 3 apiece at 8 minutes. There's a press by the Penguins with 9 minutes left. Stahl was robbed in close. The Canes would press with 4 minutes left. Jarvis with a near miss on a turnover. The Canes press in the final minute. But it's 1-0 Pittsburgh after 1. Second period. Penguins get a power play. That led to some shorthanded opportunities, starting with a 2-on-1 where Martinook's denied. And then a shorthanded 2-on-1 where Chatfield nearly scored his first NHL goal. It's killed off, which I thought was to the benefit of the Penguins, because if it went on much longer, Carolina was going to score shorthanded. The shots are 4-1 for Carolina at 4.5 minutes. Pesce has a shot blocked as the Canes press, but then Necas would score to tie it from Pesce and Aho at 5:45. Kapanen's then denied from the slot when he's trying to answer. Penguins press at the half. Archibald was denied on a net drive. The Canes press with 6.5 minutes left. Pittsburgh gets a power play. That's killed off, and then Svechnikov gets the lead for the Carolina Hurricanes from Aho and Nason at 17:38. So that makes it 2-1, and that's 14 goals for Svechnikov. He keeps going. Martinook then had a rush chance that was saved, but after 2 periods, it is 2-1 Carolina. Third period, Penguins press early. Canes get a power play. That's killed off. 6 minutes into the period, the shots are 4-3 for Pittsburgh. Stretch pass to Aho, near miss there. Penguins press at 7 minutes. Slavin saved a goal. Rust couldn't bury one on a net drive. The Canes were blocking out everything. They were making sure that nothing was getting to the middle of the ice, nothing was getting to the net at that stage of the game. There's a press by Carolina with 4.5 minutes left. Pettersson then had a screenshot that was held. The Penguins press 6-on-5, and they score. So with the goalie out at 19:02, Gensel ties it from Petrie and Crosby. We go to overtime. Penguins control early. Jarvis steals it. Canes control. The teams then exchanged turnovers in overtime before Pesce would get the winner on a 2-on-0 during some confusion. So it was like there was a line change at the bench and some confusion there, and so it leads to a 2-on-0 and a goal. Pesce from Svechnikov and Jarvis at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Carolina wins 3-2 in overtime. They go to 12-6-5. For Pittsburgh, they're 11-8-4 with the overtime loss. The shots in this one, 13-8 Carolina in the first, 17-10 Carolina in the second, 14-8 Pittsburgh in the third. Only one shot in the overtime. That's all Carolina needed. Final shots, 39-32 for Carolina. Power plays, both teams go 0-2. Hits, 49-23 for Pittsburgh. Kochetkov, 30 saves on 32 shots. Jarry, 36 saves on 39 shots. All right, moving along. San Jose and Montreal. So, what is Montreal's problem with San Jose? They can't score on San Jose. And so it's Kakinen versus Allen in this one. Sharks score, offside challenge, and it counts. Nieto scores from Barabanov and Couture at 1:33. I did find, marginally entertaining to hear announcers saying, oh yeah, no, that's offside. And then when it wasn't, they're like, what? Because to me, it didn't look offside either. So when they said it was onside, I understood. It was close. So the Sharks get a power play out of that. Barabanov can't bury one. They cycle it. That's killed off. But then the Habs with a delay a game call right away. Gives power play number 2 to San Jose. Meyer has a shot that's saved. Bonino is saved. And that one's killed off as well. Pizzetta then had a rush chance that was held. The Habs get a power play. Caulfield's denied. That's killed off. Lots of power plays. Seriously. Slavkovsky with a rush. His pass was blocked. Then there's a delay game call on San Jose. So the Habs go to the power play. Caulfield fires one high. Power play's killed off. Penalties killed off. Vlasic with a near miss as the Sharks press. And then Armia nearly scores. But he doesn't have a goal yet this season. Doesn't have a point. Crossbar then for Gallagher. The Habs press in the final minute. But it's 1-0 San Jose after 1. Second period. Good early back and forth. The Sharks press at 2.5 minutes. Barabanov had a rush chance. That's held. The Habs score, but there was a penalty being called as the puck's being scored on Montreal, so that's not a goal. So that's killed off, just the one shot. Habs get a power play. That's killed off. The Habs go back to the power play. Caulfield with a near miss. The Habs cycle. That's killed off. The Sharks rush after that. There was a near miss again for Armia. The Habs press with 3.5 minutes left. They go back to the power play, and then they had 57 seconds of 5-on-3 with 2 seconds left in the period. So there's 55 seconds left in the 5-on-3 to start the third period. But the Sharks penalty kills the best in the league, and so they kill off their 6th power play, and that was their final power play they had to kill off. And then at 2:29, a tip in front. Hurdle scores from LeBanc and Cicek. Cicek's been scoring points since he got called up. And then Couture adds one from Benning. 3:44. He buries it 5-hole on a breakaway. Great pass by Benning to spot Couture, and that's a burial there. Anderson's then denied on a fast break. The Habs press at 6.5 minutes. The Sharks get a power play. That becomes a 5-on-3 as well. That was killed off. The Habs shut out in their last 2 against the Sharks. That gets mentioned. I'm like, looks like they're going to get shut out a third time. So they pull the goaltender with 2:45 left. Odds are St. Louis trying to get a goal, something positive to happen. That means an empty net goal for Hurdle from LeBanc and Meyer at 17:46. So LeBanc with a couple of helpers tonight. And San Jose wins 4-0. Shots in this one. Montreal, 8-7 in the first, 6 apiece in the second, 14-11 Montreal in the third. Final shots, 28-24 for Montreal. Power plays, San Jose 0-for-5, Montreal 0-for-6. The hits were 14-11 for San Jose. Kakkonen saves all 28 shots for his 3rd career shutout. Allen saves 20 out of 23 at the other end. Montreal drops to 11-10-1 with the loss. San Jose 8-13-4 with the victory. So, rough one for Montreal. If they're going to stay in the hunt, this is the kind of game that they need to win, because other teams in the East are going to start winning more regularly. At least they should. Now, Tampa Bay trying to prevent history with the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins looking for 13 straight home wins, which could mean a video on the Boston Bruins and they're winning. Vasilevsky versus Swayman. It takes a minute for Boston to get on the board. 1 minute and 7 seconds. Hall from Carlo and Frederick, and he tips a great point shot by Carlo. Bruins press for another. The shots are 4-2 for Boston at 5 minutes. Bruins press. They're kept to the outside. Tampa Bay then presses back at the half. Maroon has a net feed. That was blocked out. Pasternak with a rush chance. He's blocked to the outside on that. Bolts press with 5 minutes left. They end up getting a power play. That led to a shorthanded rush for DeBrusk, which was saved. Power play's killed off. We're going to the second period with the score 1-0 Boston. Marchand with a net feed that's blocked early in the second. Then Stamkos is denied. The Bruins rush. Bolts press at 5 minutes. The shots are 6-5 for Tampa Bay at the half. Point with a net drive. That's blocked. The Bolts press, but the Bruins are, again, blocking them, keeping them to the outside, and block shots. Hedman missed wide on a rush. McAvoy then had a blast that was held. Tampa Bay gets a power play with 2:35 left, and they would score on it. It's Stamkos with his 999th point from Kucherov and point at 18:20, and then Tampa Bay looks for the lead, but after 2 periods, it's 1-1. Third period, Kucherov has a shot that's held. The Bruins get a power play. There was a shorthanded rush for Hagel. He fires high. And then Hall with his 2nd goal of the game. He scores from Foligno and Lindholm at 2:49. So it's 2-1 Boston. Marchand's then denied on a rush. The Bruins press at 8.5 minutes. The shots are 3-2 for Boston with 8.5 minutes left. So Boston limiting chances against. And they did pretty well, although Tampa got their opportunities late in the game. Frederick has a rush that's blocked out. Zacha misses an open net. And then there's an empty net goal missed by Carlo. However, at 19:19, Marchand hits the empty net from Krejci, and your final score is 3-1 for Boston. They go to 19-3 wearing their fantastic reverse retros. Tampa Bay 13-8-1 with the loss. The shots in this one, 9-7 Tampa in the 9-7 Boston in the first. Both teams had 11 shots in the second, and then in the third, Tampa Bay outshoots them 10-6. Final shots 28-26 for Tampa. Power plays, Tampa Bay 1 for 2, Boston 1 for 1. Hits 26-15 for Boston. Vasilevsky saves 23 out of 25. Swayman is back. 27 saves on 28 shots, and again, that's 13 straight home wins to start the season. That's an NHL record for the Bruins. Next on the board, Islanders and Philadelphia, and this one lived up to its advanced billing, and very often they don't, right? So it's Sorokin versus Hart. The fight happens at 7 seconds, so I was going to say heart. I was going to say fight, and I ended up height. So, yeah, fight at 7 seconds. It was Martin versus McEwen. Really good tilt. And then 1 second later, on the clock anyways, Johnston had a fight with Delorier. That was a good fight, too. So, and that was more of a staged fight, and you could tell they were both fighters with the way they you know, get their dukes up and all that. Anyways, the Flyers pressed when the fighting stops. The Islanders get a power play. That becomes a 5-on-3. They score on the 5-on-3. It's Dobson from Barzal and Nelson at 3:12. Good cycle and a one-timer. So the Islanders are up 1-0. But at 4:37, shorthanded during the 5-on-4, Sanheim scores from Noah Cates and Sedlak on a rush. And it was a 3-on-2 as well. And then Philadelphia finished the kill. The Islanders press for the lead. Wahlstrom has a net feed that's blocked. And then Hayes puts Philadelphia in front. He scores from Sedlak at 9:45. So we're less than halfway into the first. It's 2-1. And I thought, well, this game's going to have a lot of goals in it, right? So, and Hayes wired that one high on a face-off win. So really nice play by Sedlak to get it to Hayes. Flyers get a power play. That's killed off. The Islanders would press in the final minute, but it's 2-1 for the Flyers after one. Second period. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 to start because of some greetings they had at the horn. Hayes can't bury one at the rush. Things get pushy after a hold by Sorokin. The shots are 3-0 for the Flyers at 4 minutes. The Islanders would press at 6.5 minutes. Dobson has a blast that's saved. The Islanders get a power play. Anders Lee hits a post. They kill that off. Flyers go 6+ minutes without a shot. Ristolainen then had a rush chance. It was held. That was the first shot they'd had in that after that long drought. Flyers press with 2 minutes left with 33.8 seconds left. The Flyers get a power play. That rolls over into the third. The Islanders do finish the kill. The shots are 6-3 for the Flyers at 5 minutes. Pulock has a point shot. That was blocked out. Flyers press. They're kept to the outside. Provorov then had a screenshot that was held. Flyers were giving very little, and they were keeping the clock running. Using an Islanders tactic, you get ahead by one, and then you make sure there's as few whistles as possible. Just keep the clock running. So Bellows had a net feed. That was intercepted with 5:47 left. The Islanders get a power play. Barzal had a shot that was saved. The rebound's cleared. Wahlstrom then had a blast that's held. That's killed off. Goalie pull with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. What's interesting, too, is things get punchy with 2:57 left. There was no calls out of that. Sure. So after the goalie gets pulled, the Flyers, the Flyers had an offensive zone face-off with 1:20 left. I had a hard time reading my own writing there. And so the Islanders had to put the goaltender back in. So they pull the goaltender again with roughly a minute left. That allows Hayes to hit the empty net at 19:26 from Provorov. And so your final score is 3-1 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. They go to 8-10-5 with the win. For the Islanders, they're 15-9 with the loss. The shots in this one, 12-9 Philly in the first, 9-8 Philly in the second, 12-7 Philly in the third. Final shots, 33-24 Philadelphia. Power plays, the Islanders 1 for 4, Philadelphia 0 for 2. Hits, 38-30 for Philadelphia. Sorokin saves 30 out of 32. Hart saves 23 out of 24. Both goaltenders played really well. It was really quite the story. There was a lot of goalies that played really well and got good stats. And then we get to the last game of the night, and the answer to that's just, are you kidding? All right, next up, Anaheim and Nashville. And Nashville kind of took their eye off the ball on this one for a bit, and it almost cost them. So it's Gibson versus Saros, both teams wearing the reverse retro. I will always give a thumbs up to that. I think that's great. Gibson versus Saros, early press by the Ducks. I'll get this straight. They're my own notes. I should know how to read them. I could go into Winnebago Man right now, but I'm not. But if you don't know who Winnebago, don't. If you have kids, don't watch the Winnebago Man videos. Don't. But if you just, they're great. I'll wait. Go watch the one. No, never mind. There's not enough time. Shots are 2 apiece at 3.5 minutes. The Ducks are creating turnovers at this stage as well. The Predators draw a power play. That's killed off. The shots are 7-5 for Nashville at the half. Jones was denied on a fast break. Then there's a press by Nashville with 7 minutes left. Really strong second half for Nashville. And it felt like they had all the momentum, but it's still scoreless. Second period, Smith with a rush. That sets up a press for Nashville. Shots are 3-0 Nashville at 3.5 minutes. Then Nashville gets a power play. That's killed off. Zegras was robbed on a 2-on-0. I don't know how that doesn't go in, but hey, it doesn't. Ducks press at 8 minutes, but eventually Nashville opens the scoring. It's Sissons. He scores from Duchesne and Jeannot at 10:04. Nashville then presses for another, sensing maybe a little bit of blood in the water there. Trenton had a rush chance that was held, and after the 2 periods are done, the story is both goaltenders. Gibson having the best game he's had all season, and Saros, I would argue, the best game he's had all season as well. So we're going to the third. It's still 1-0. Early press by Anaheim. Then the Preds get zone time, but the Ducks are blocking them out, not giving them shots. Near miss then for Jankowski. The shots are 2-1 for the Ducks at 4 minutes. Press by Nashville at 6 minutes. Shattenkirk then had a net feed for Anaheim. That was cleared. Crossbar for McDonough on a break. So that close for McDonough to getting his first goal as a Nashville Predator. Teams are exchanging rush chances, and then Troy Terry ties it. Scores from Shattenkirk and Fowler at 10:39, and Saros almost had that. Really almost had that, and that would have been a shutout if he had it, right? Shots are 9-4 for the Ducks with 8.5 minutes left. Trenton has a rush chance. That's deflected aside. Lundstrom's denied on what was a 4-on-2. The Ducks press with 4 minutes left, and then Zegras is denied in close. We're going to overtime. In overtime, the Ducks controlled early. The Preds then won the next faceoff. Gibson with a save, and then Vetrano rushes the other way. Strome was denied. Nashville rushes. There's a post for Forsberg in there as well. Zegras then went beast mode, but that was broken up by a smart Nashville defense. Forsberg then had a near miss on a breakaway, but then on a turnover, Nashville makes it work, and they score. Yossi from Duchesne and Granlund at 3:50. So Nashville survives a bit of a scare, a bit of a trap here. They win 2-1 in overtime. They go to 10-9-2. For Anaheim, they're 6-15-2 with the overtime loss. The shots in this one, 13-7 Nashville in the first, 18-11 Nashville in the second, and then 16-7 Anaheim in the third. In the overtime, Nashville outshoots them 3-1, including the shot that matters. Final shots, 41-35 Nashville. Power plays, Anaheim didn't have one. Nashville went 0 for 2. Hits, 21-15 for Nashville. Gibson saved 39 out of 41. He played out of his mind. So did Saros, who saved 34 out of 35. Great goaltending on the first board. Fantastic goaltending on the first board. Now let's go to the absolute train wreck. That's the second. So again, without one of the games on this board, you could have said scoring was down tonight. You can't. All right, so Winnipeg at home against Colorado, and this to me was the Connor Hellebuyck show. So it was Georgiev versus Hellebuyck. Makar has a blast that saved on a face-off win. McKinnon had a shot that was held. Johnson has a shot that saved. Near miss for Newhook as the Avs press. That's really genuinely how things were going early on. Winnipeg didn't start on time, but Hellebuyck certainly did. Jets then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Wheeler from Morrissey and Dubois at 9:18. The Avs press to answer. The shots are 5-3 for Colorado with 8 minutes left. Cogliano has a rush chance that saved the Avs, not giving up anything decent to the Jets at this point in the game. There was a late Jets rush that's broken up as the first comes to an end. So after one period, it's 1-0 Winnipeg, but they'd been outshot by more than 2-1 in that first period, and it felt like, eventually Colorado's going to break through, right? Nope. Second period, early jump for the Avs. The Jets score. Goaltender interference challenge, that is upheld as, it's no goal. But this is what I love, is when a team gets that no goal call and they go, fine, we'll just score again, and they do. Morrissey scores from DeMello and Perfetti at 3:46. That one counts. It's post and in for Morrissey, who continues to be red hot. That's a goal and an assist already. McKinnon then can't bury one in close. The Avs get a power play. That was killed off. The shots are tied at 8 with 9 minutes left. And then at 13:07, on a great pass from Perfetti, Wheeler scores. Perfetti and Scheifele with the assists at 13:07. And that was buried on a rush. So for Wheeler, that's his second goal of the game. Avs get a power play. That was killed off. Pressed then by the Avs with 4 minutes left. Hunt's then denied from the slot. Schmidt hands it in the crease and gets away with it. So the puck's in the crease, and if you play it with your gloved hand, that's a penalty shot. So Schmidt got away with it. The funny thing is the announcer's like, well, the ref's right on it, and if he can't see it, then yeah, I understand Graham Skeletor's in there, but we can see it on the replay that he put his hand on the puck. He's very fortunate that wasn't a penalty shot. So Dillon has a blast that saved as the Jets press, but after 2 periods, it's 3-0 Winnipeg. And hey, Winnipeg needs the breaks too. They've had times where certainly the breaks have gone against them. So third period early. On a rush, 2-on-1, great pass by Connor. Scheifele buries it. Connor and Wheeler with the assists at 1:22. So Wheeler now up to a 3-point game, 2 goals and an assist. The Avs get a power play, that's killed off. Makar has a shot that's blocked. The Jets get a power play. Scheifele's then denied and close. Sandberg had a screenshot that was held. There's a near miss high and a rush by Dubois, and then at 16:09, Wheeler gets his third goal of the game from Perfetti and Scheifele at 16:09. We then had 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and I want to double check something. I just had to double check because I remember them making a big deal of Wheeler's hat trick, but here we are. Yeah, it was a hat trick. So 2 minutes of 4-on-4 follows. Bleeds then denied in the final minute, but your final score is 5-0. Wheeler with the hat trick along with an assist. They're 14-6-1 now for the Colorado Avalanche, 12-7-1. A bit of a setback there. So the shots, 9-4 Colorado in the first, 16-10 Colorado in the second, 15-10 Colorado in the third. Final shots are 40-24 for the Avs. Power plays 0-3 for Colorado, 1-2 for Winnipeg. The hits, 19-18 for Colorado. Georgiev, 19 saves on 24 shots. Hellebuck saves all 40. It's his third shutout of the season and the 31st of his career. Hellebuck's turnaround is a big part of why the Jets are in the position they're in, and I'm a fan. Absolutely a fan. I thought that was a great game for him, and it's nice to see the Jets doing well. All right, next up, Calgary at home against Florida. So this was built up as, hey, this is Matthew Tkachuk's return, and this is a big deal. Is Bobrovsky versus Vladar. Now, they might have booed Tkachuk quite a bit, but I think they felt pretty good about how the game was going, so there was some chants going. But outside of the chants and some singing kind of stuff in Tkachuk's direction, I would think, yeah, things were pretty good. Early jump for the Flames. The Panthers, though, they get a power play. So at 3:05, Calgary opens the scoring shorthanded. It's Dubé from Mangiapane. It was a 2-on-1, and it's the first shot on net for Calgary. The Flames then finished the kill, and they allowed no shots to Florida on the power play. Then Hornquist nearly ties it on a 2-on-1. The shots are 4-1 for the Panthers at 7 minutes. Kadri with a rush chance, that's saved. The Flames, they get a power play. They score on it. It's Huberdeau from Anderson and Kadri at 9:21. It's reviewed just in case there was a kicking motion. There's no kicking. It's a good goal. And then Anderson would score from Hanifin and Dubé at 12:03. So it's 3-0 Calgary 12 minutes into the game. And Huberdeau's starting to look like he fits in pretty well with Calgary. I think people who have been saying, oh, well, that trade, they got fleeced. Maybe watch this game. So Lundell has a rush chance that's saved. Vladar collides with Hanifin. He stayed in it. He looked a little bit shaken up at the time, but he would stay in it. Played a good game. Things get pushy then after a hold by Vladar with 1:08 left. The Flames get a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. Panthers finish the kill, just the one shot allowed. Tkachuk fires one wide on a rush. There was a hit by Anderson that Gudas took exception to. He wanted Anderson to fight. Anderson ain't fighting him. Panthers get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are 6-1 for the Panthers at 9 minutes. So we have another game where the road team is doing really well, but the Canadian home team is keeping them off the board for the most part. I say for the most part because at 9:54, Florida breaks the goose egg. It's Cousins from Forsling and Ekblad. And then the Panthers press for another. We get power play number 3 for the Panthers. That was killed off. The Flames then get a power play. Is this? No, this is not a power play goal. This is after. At 15:29, Ritchie scores from Weegar. That one went in off Bobrovsky, who had just lost the puck. And Bobrovsky was really fighting it in this game. I think this might be a game more than others where it really looks like Bobrovsky's fighting it. Now, Florida does answer a little over a minute later. At 16:55, it's Reinhart from Lundell. At 18:19, there's offsetting penalties, so you get 4-on-4 to finish the period. And just to start the third, Backlund has a rush chance in the third that deflects out. There's some pushing in again after a Vladar hold. The shots are 4-2 for the Flames at 5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 again. The Flames press at 8.5 minutes, but they're kept to the outside. 8:25 left. The Flames get a power play. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1 that Ruzicka broke up. Nice play by Ruzicka there. That's killed off. Then Brett Ritchie loses his skate blade, but he was lucky. Florida went offside on the entry, so he was all right. He just got some help off the ice with Coleman. Helped him off the ice. And then Toffoli gets an insurance marker from Huberdeau at 15:22. It was a really nice break for Toffoli. Great pass by Huberdeau. And so Huberdeau with a couple of points against his former teammates. Goalie pull with 3 minutes left because they're down by 3. And Mangiapane hits the empty net from Dubé and Hanifin at 18:54. The Panthers would get a power play in the final minute to finish the game out. But your final score is 6-2 for Calgary. A very needed victory. They go to 10-9-3 with the win. Florida 10-9-4 with the loss. The shots in this one, 10-8 Florida in the first, 11-6 Florida in the second, 11-9 Florida in the third. Final shots 32-23 for the Panthers. Power plays Florida 0 for 4, Calgary 1 for 4. Hits were 13-13. Bobrovsky saved 17 out of 22. Rough scoreline for him. Vladar saved 30 out of 32. So again, Vladar has been very good for them. I think that with Calgary, I think their goaltending's rounding into form. And this was potentially a watershed game for them. All right, next up, Vancouver was trying to hit the 4-game winning streak, and they didn't. So this feels like a big setback. It's Kemper versus Martin in this one. Teams trade early chances. Miller has a shot that's saved. There's a brief press. The shots are 3 apiece at 4 minutes. 4.5 minutes, I should say. And then on a turnover, it was Hughes that turns it over to Ovechkin, and he scores at 5:35, which tied him with Wayne Gretzky for road goals. So goals away from home, he tied Gretzky. We'll come back to that because he's not done. Caps then look for another. The Canucks get a power play. That was killed off, and then Ovechkin scores again. From Strome and Mantha at 11:52, that gives him his 403rd goal away from home, and he is now the first all-time in road goals with 403, which leads me to think he's not as good at home as he is on the road. That's odd. That's really weird. And then Höglander would answer at 13:55 from Miller. He put that one around Kemper. Miller with a nice steal there as well, but the momentum wasn't going to last. At 14:35, Mantha answers from Johansson, or Johansson, depending on what he's calling it today, from Eller as well, and so it makes it 3-1, and it really took the wind out of their sails. The Caps press for another. The Canucks had pressed with 1.5 minutes left, but after the first period, it's 3-1 for Washington. Second period, OEL with a long shot that nearly fooled Kemper, who had a couple of shaky moments there. Amon then had a net feed that was cleared. The shots are 5-2 for the Canucks at 3.5 minutes. Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. Ovechkin's denied and close. He tried for the hat trick. Hughes with a blast. That's kicked aside. Nice long stretch there without a whistle. Caps press with 6 minutes left. There's more pressure by them as well with 4.5 minutes left. Johansson's denied and close. Lazar then had a rush that was saved, but before the period's out at 18:47, Carlson adds another insurance marker from Dowd and Hathaway, so it's 4-1 after 2. Third period, Ovechkin nearly adds one on the first shift, so he was all around the net tonight. Shots are 2-1 for the Capitals at 3 minutes. Jensen tips one wide then as the Caps press. Canucks then press back at 5.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Capitals. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Amon has a rush chance that's saved. Goalie pull with 7 minutes left. Ovechkin, near miss on the empty net. They were trying to get him the hat-trick goal. However, Fehervary would get the hat-trick goal in terms of, it's his first goal in 33 games, I think, so it feels like a hat-trick for Fehervary at 15:57. All the guys on the Caps bench jumped up to applaud that and, stick taps because Fehervary, first goal of the season. And that does it. Your final score is 5-1 for the Capitals. They go to 10-11-3 with the win. Vancouver drops to 9-11-3 with the loss. The shots in this one, 15-10 Washington in the first, 12-6 Vancouver in the second, 10-7 Vancouver in the third. Final shots 32-28 for Vancouver. Power plays Washington 0 for 1, Vancouver 0 for 3. The hits were 18-13 for Vancouver. Darcy Kemper saves 31 out of 32. Martin saved 23 out of 27. One thing with Spencer Martin, he is not the savior in net. I keep hearing about, they've got to start playing Martin more. Martin's a good goaltender. He should be the backup. If Demko can't round out and get it together, I can't see Martin getting this team into the playoffs either. I don't think the problem has necessarily been goaltending. I think it's more along the defense part, but in this one, it was also just Ovechkin decided, I think I'm going to pass Gretzky tonight, and then he did. So there's that part of it as well. All right, last game of the night, and I think a lot of people are going to be going to this game. I realized early, don't take notes. So you'll notice I stopped taking notes. So I was like, this game is all about the goals, not taking notes. So it was Jones versus Quick. Martin Jones' save percentage took a real hit tonight. I don't think he's above 900 anymore. So Kopitar scores from Fiala and Doughty at 16 seconds. That's the first shot, and that is telling us how this game is going to go and how crazy it's going to be. So basically, the save percentages are going to stay low. Lizotte then had a sharp angle shot that was held. The Kraken, they press, they draw a power play. They score on it. It is Beniers from Wenberg and Schultz at 5:21. It's on a rebound late in the power play. Lizotte nearly answers, and then McCann gives Seattle the lead. Scores from Eberle at 8:42. He wired that one high under the bar. Kings, they get a power play. They score on it. It's Arvidsson from Dursey at 9:16. He tips that one in on a screen. So, yeah, this game's 2-2 already. We're not even 10 minutes into the game. Beniers denied on a 2-on-1. The Kraken get a power play, and they score on it. It's Wenberg from Sprong and Schultz at 12:55 with 3:03 left. The Kings get a power play. They scored on it. It's Velarde from Fiala and Doughty at 18:52. That's with 6 seconds left in the power play. So after the first period, it's 3-3. After the first period, there's as many goals as in this game. More goals than in this one, and more goals than in any of the early games in the first period. So when we hear about scoring being up, I think we need to start saying, is it? So second, like, it's just certain teams are just making it so scoring's up. Looking at you, Buffalo, and looking at you, Seattle and LA. So second period, Moore with the net drive to save. Somewhere there's a Buffalo fan going to, what did we do? You know. So Beniers scores, and they do know. Beniers scores from Eberle to give Seattle the lead back at 1:31. It's buried in close, good forecheck. This is where I'm already like, you know what? I don't want to take notes, so I stopped. Grundstrom would score to tie it again at 4 from Lizotte and Walker at 2:48. Kempe had a rush chance that was saved. And then McCann celebrates by scoring a goal, because that's how everything gets done in this game, from Larson and Eberle at 4:56. So that's the end of the night for Quick. Peterson's in the net. It doesn't matter. Kempe would score from Fiala on a turnover at 6:45. But Seattle answers. It's Sprong first at 7:27. And then before you can really pay attention much to that one, at 9:50, Bjorkstrand scores. This game isn't even halfway over yet. And it's like 15-12. Like, it's just ridiculous score. Like, tonight my wife was at the Abbotsford game while I was home watching this, so I kept just taking a picture with my phone and sending it to her and saying, I'm not taking notes. She said, well, you can't. You're going to run out of space. And apparently on the Discord, they wanted me to use the magnets for the teams that these players came from to get to Seattle. That would have caused all kinds of confusion. I do appreciate the suggestion, but the confusion that would cause. So Donato nearly adds one. The Kings go to a power play, and then right after it ends, Velarde scores from Kopitar and Anderson at 15:41. So it's a rare power play that technically gets killed off, but it really doesn't. So Velarde with another. And so, yeah, it was a rebound he buries. And then at 19:39, Burakovsky scores from Wenberg and Borgen. So, yeah, that was, 7-5 Seattle after the second period. It's so ridiculous. No, it's, wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8-6 after... I'm like, did I forget a goal? No, it's 8-6 after 2 periods. Third period, Kings get a power play. It becomes 1 minute and 38 seconds of 4-on-4. It's cute that I start taking notes again now. So everything's killed off. The Kings press at 9.5 minutes. I wasn't taking a lot of notes. There's a post for Wenberg, and then Dursey scores from Roy and Fiala at 11:36. That'll teach you to start taking notes, Shannon. And then Anderson scores from Kempe and Doughty at 13:39. So it's 8-8. I really thought maybe I'd missed a goal, because sure, be easy enough to explain that, right? So we go to overtime, because sure, why not? The good news, you can only score 1 goal in overtime. Seattle was 2-3 in overtime. LA was 3-3 in overtimes coming into this one. Too many Kings on the ice gives the Kraken a power play. So, yeah. And on the power play, it's Burakovsky at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Your final score is 9-8 for Seattle. Yeah, this is a tough one. 14-5-3. Seattle's won 6 in a row. That's the longest winning streak the team's ever had. LA 12-9-4 with a game that was so bonkers. So the shots in this one, 12-8 Seattle in the first, 17-11 LA in the second, 10-6 Seattle in the third. Seattle had the only shot of overtime. That one went in because they all did. Final shots, 35-30 for LA. So there were 65 shots. 17 of them went in the net. Even in the 80s, we would have said, this game's ridiculous. So the power plays, they were ridiculous too. Seattle's 3 for 4, LA's 2 for 4. And if that Velarde goal had gone in 2 seconds sooner, they would have been 3 for 4 too. Hits 43-32 in favor of LA. This was also a pretty physical game because a lot of goals like this, and guys get kind of ticked off. Speaking of which, goaltenders had to be ticked off. Jones, 27 saves on 35 shots. His save percentage was .771. That's the best save percentage in the game. Quick saved 9 out of 14. That's a .643 save percentage. Peterson saved 12 out of 16. That's a .750 save percentage. So, that's absolutely bonkers. That's just bonkers. So, 17 goals in that game throws off every other game. Because coming out of those early games, I was like, yeah, it looks like scoring's coming down. And then this game happens, and nope. Not with the silly, wacky Seattle Kraken going, it isn't. Not tonight. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight's action, and it was different. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and just imagine if you convinced a friend of yours who's never watched an NHL game to watch this right here. Would they come out of that going, is it always like this? And you're like, no, it's never like this. This is ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.